FairTax organization. Micah, come on up. Let's give him a hand. How are y'all doing today? Good. Let's give another round of applause for Reggie Sadler, ladies and gentlemen. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. I don't know which one of these is working. Let me adjust it up a little bit. Everybody hear me all right? All right. Well, I don't mean to put a negative spin on things after such wonderful entertainment, but we got to talk about some ugly truths. And the situation with our government, I kind of equate to alcoholism. We have to admit we have a problem, or we have to get them to admit that we have a problem. So I want to talk a little bit about the tax code and some of the problems that we have with it. Our current tax code has over 30,000 pages of regulations. It's over 2.1 million words. The bureaucrats in D.C. use the current tax code for social engineering. Special rates for special circumstances are unfair and violate the original Constitution. The tax code has crippling compliance costs, with estimates as high as $265 billion per year. Now this is how much money Americans spend every year just to figure out how much they owe in taxes. $265 billion a year. That in itself is a small stimulus plan. The tax code requires 5.4 billion hours, man hours, every year to comply with. Imagine how much money businesses waste each year to deal with this and how that equates to lost jobs. Our current tax code places an unfair burden on U.S. exports. How can the United States compete in a global economy when 30% of the final price of American products are embedded taxes? Have you been to Walmart lately, ladies and gentlemen? How many Made in the USA signs have you seen on the back of products anymore? You can blame the tax code for that. The tax code makes criminals out of honest U.S. citizens because it's too complex even for the IRS to understand. Did you know that studies have shown 47% of the answers that the IRS gives out over the telephone are incorrect? And you, ladies and gentlemen, are held accountable for it, and you can go to jail for it. The tax code taxes savings, it taxes labor, it taxes investment, and it taxes productivity multiple times. It's no wonder you can't save for retirement. You never see your money. The income tax hurts low-income Americans the most by driving up prices on the necessities of life. Taxes withheld from paychecks via the payroll tax. Low-income families, we know, need every penny to make ends meet today. What we need is to scrap this abomination of a tax code and move to something that is simple and fair. Under the FairTax, every single worker in the United States takes home 100% of their paycheck. Have you ever seen an entire paycheck where you got 100% of it? Who's FICA anyway? I've been paying this guy FICA for years. I don't know who that is. Taxes aren't withheld. You'll take home your whole paycheck under the FairTax. Now think about this. When you eliminate capital gains tax, the marriage penalty, the alternative minimum tax, all personal income tax, what happens? The United States becomes the most favorable tax environment in the entire world. The predictions are somewhere between 10 and 15 trillion dollars. That's trillion with a capital T. That money will come flowing into our economy from offshore, from private investment. Okay? Think about this. 10 to 15 trillion dollars, trillion with a T, dwarfs any kind of stimulus program that our government can initiate. And even better, this is private money. We're not stealing this from our children and grandchildren. The fair tax eliminates corruption by Congress and special interests. Every single day, pieces of our tax code are being sold off for power or profit. $1.5 billion is spent every year just lobbying the tax code. That's how much money lobbyists spend to sway Congress one way or another, to vote for this or that or the other, to cherry pick different things in our tax code. It's not fair. I'm tired of it. The underground economy in the United States. The underground economy in the United States that goes untaxed is estimated at $4 trillion per year. Criminals and the roughly 20 million illegal immigrants every year under the fair tax will now pay the same as everyone else when they make purchases. These people will start to pay their fair share. Americans are not obligated any longer to accept a tax system that penalizes the average working American while giving special consideration to those who buy favors in Washington. To be competitive in the next century and to protect the American dream, we must change the way we fund our federal government. For nearly 100 years, we have carried the burden of an oppressive tax system and a counterproductive tax system which has punished work, it's punished achievement, it's punished savings, and it's punished investment. Our founding fathers warned us against the dangers of taxing income and envisioned a tax system based upon consumption. If there ever was a time for the fair tax, that time is now. The fair tax is the biggest, most massive transfer of power from the government to the people in the history of this country since the Declaration of Independence. But you know what that means? That means the fair tax is going to have to be implemented from the ground up. No politician is going to do this willingly. We have to make our voices heard, and we have to let them know that we will no longer tolerate the business as usual that put us in this position in the first place. I know each and every one of you truly care about your country. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. I know you care about your government, and more importantly, you care about keeping the American dream alive for our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. Please, help us pass this legislation by getting involved and demanding that the fair tax be passed into law. For more information and to sign up for updates, please check with the fair tax booth. Thank you all so much for coming out here and listening to me rant. I appreciate it. God bless America.